Tyler Perry is about to drop a sequel to your favorite Halloween movie where no one actually dies. Boo, a Madea Halloween. Hallelujah, y'all! Boo 2, A Madea Halloween is the unlikely sequel to a movie that takes all the hallmarks of a standard Madea comedy, misbehaving young people, profane but wise old folks, jokes about saggy breasts, and scenes that go on forever, and sets it at Halloween.
What the hell wrong with you? I hit the brakes. I got this. Y'all sit there, hush. Madea! Oh, hell no.
Madea is bound and determined to ruin every holiday from Christmas to Halloween to National Corn Dog Appreciation Day, which is a real thing. May we all meet back here in good health, ready to review Chomp, Madea's Corn Dog Conundrum on March 17th, 2018. If you can get through the 20-minute scene where various versions of Tyler Perry in makeup argue about whether or not it's okay to beat the shit out of your kids, Boo Madea's Halloween ends up being about horny frat boys being murdered during Halloween. Spoiler alert, the murders are actually an elaborate, unfunny prank played by the horny frat boys. The joke's on you, audience. You just watched a horror movie that's not scary, where the entire story was a fucking gag. It's basically the movie Ernest Scared Stupid, but without the goblins. Or jokes. When you think about black people in horror movies, a classic stereotype is the sidekick that gets the chop first as the monster goes on its rampage. In the 1970s, the horror genre was defined by the British Hammer films, starring classic monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein, or movies like The Exorcist and The Omen, which focus on religious iconography and Catholic guilt. These were films with predominantly white casts. But the 70s was also the era of blaxploitation movies, which meant variations on these horror themes, but with an urban bent. Depending on your perspective, these were either hilariously misguided efforts to capitalize on a trend, or simply just hilarious. 1972's Blackula was Dracula, but this time, he's black. The next year saw the release of Blackenstein, which is absolutely about a black Frankenstein. There's even a black version of The Exorcist called Abby, about a Nigerian sex demon, which was my nickname in high school. After John Carpenter's Halloween blew up the box office in 1978, the slasher movie took over, which led to the expendable black guy trope. Black characters get knocked off early in movies like Alien, The Shining, Gremlins, and Christine. By the 90s, black horror escaped the blaxploitation ripoffs and perfunctory slasher genre to varying results. 1992's Candyman, starring Tony Todd, is about a black man murdered for having an interracial relationship that comes back to haunt the living. Then there's bullshit like Tales from the Hood or Leprechaun in the Hood, movies that cravenly latched onto rap culture. It's like they had to add the word hood into the title to make sure audiences knew black people would be in the movie. But why do horror movies starring black actors have to be either remakes of other films or in the hood? Perhaps the most famous African-American horror movie of the decade is Get Out, Jordan Peele's excellent film about cultural assimilation and racial anxiety. It was a huge hit and is practically guaranteed Oscar nominations. Could it have benefited from a Blackula or two? Yes, definitely. Here's my #1 rule about movies. Every movie is better with Blackulas. Die Hard with Blackulas. I'm in. Titanic with Blackulas. Seeing It, the Emoji Movie with Blackulas. Maybe. Actually, you know what would be a fun idea? Blackula, but with a white guy. As if we're switching up, genders and races and movies. I think it's time for a white Blackula. What do you say, guys? Tell me in the comments if you want to see a white Blackula and who you would cast in the role.